So what I would start off by saying is that when I was thinking about doing a spirituality and business podcast, there is no better first guest than you. I think for me, what's so fascinating when, I'm lucky that I've been friends with you for many years. When I think about Eyebrowlady and the journey that you've been on, I think you've got such an amazing story and such a spiritual story to share with people. So thank you for being here, first of all.
For sure.
Not at all. It's a pleasure. And I think the first question I have, a pretty obvious one, is why the name Eyebrowlady? Where did that come from?
There's actually a really funny story behind the name. So probably I would say for like the first 6 years, it was just permanent makeup by Abby Cairns. And it never really popped for me. I always kind of thought, I wish there was a different name that I could think of, but I couldn't think of anything. And then back then, brows were just kind of becoming a major thing. Before that, because I've been doing it for 12 years now, at the beginning, it was people used to actually say to me, so you just do eyebrows? Really? But I would say brows were becoming a big thing, and there was loads of memes going around saying when I speak to my eyebrow lady, and me and Gary were on holiday, and I kept on saying to him, oh yeah, because I'm so and so's eyebrow lady, or and we were talking about that, and he was like, that's just such a funny thing to say. And then we got so drunk that night, and I changed my name on Instagram to the Eyebrow Lady.
No way.
Yeah, And then the next day I woke up and totally forgot, and I clicked onto my Instagram and was like, oh my God. But Instagram at the time wouldn't, I was like, what the hell? And then Instagram at the time wouldn't let you change it back for say it was 20 days or something. But by that point, everyone just loved it. So we just kept it.
Isn't that amazing? And I think quite a lot of the time these names are guided, right? That was supposed to be the name of your brand. And it's funny because so many people say to me, oh, I know Eyebrow Lady, or you go to Eyebrow Lady. It's so synonymous with your brand. And I can't think of anything more perfect. So I think let's go back a little bit, right? Tell me about, I know you worked in salons and stuff early on before you had your own business. Tell me about those early years and what did you learn?
So when I first left school, I basically had no qualifications. I was just terrible in school. I was well behaved, but I had no interest in learning anything that I wasn't interested in. So I left school with nothing, and basically the beauty industry was the only one that would have me, really. So I left school and went straight into sweeping floors in a salon, basically. But what I would say I learned from I worked in 2 different salons, both completely opposite ends of the spectrum. One had 3 members of staff, one had 12 to 15, I think, probably around there. It's just you can, no matter how you start, you can take it as far as you want to. And you would see girls come in and they couldn't really be bothered, but you could see the opposite end of the spectrum, and the same people with the same opportunities that know all the same things. Their business just grew and grew and grew. And I was like, I want to be one of them. And I would say that was kind of probably the most thing, the first thing I can really think about is always stuck in my head. I want to be like her. I want to have that. I want to be I can think of 2 people's names who I'm not going to say, but I can think of these 2 girls that really, really inspired me.
And I think what is so inspiring now, right, is to be in the position that you're at, 12 years later, right? Probably longer, I guess, because if you worked in other places first. But you look at the fact that you now have a 2,500 square foot premises. You've got 18 members of staff. You have your own unbelievable place that is booming in the West End of Glasgow, right? And I think if you asked that Abby then, right, even though you were thinking big and you were inspired by these people, could you have seen it going to where it's went to so far?
No, definitely not. There's been things that have happened since then that have pushed me in the direction that I am now. I would say probably number one, when I first started, my mum renovated the spare room into a proper clinic. It was all environmental health, had all came out and stuff like that. We fitted in a sink and everything. And I was just happy there. I just kind of felt like that was going to be it for me. I loved working there.
That was you for life.
Yeah, I was like, this is so perfect. My dad opens the door and makes people a tea and a coffee, and it was just great. I was so buzzing. And then it was them that actually sat me down at one point and was like, you can't stay here forever,
get out of our house.
The neighbours were starting to complain about cars in the street and all this, and it was becoming a thing. And at one point, the neighbour across the road, he actually phoned the police on me. Yeah, because
Really?
it was just so bare then. It was like there was too many cars in the street. Like I'd messed up my diary that day, and there was like so many people waiting. Thanks, Kim, because now that doesn't happen. But yeah, so he actually phoned the police and complained, and so then they were like, I mean, this isn't like where you're going to end up. You know, like you need to get like a studio or a salon or something. And I was like, do I? I thought we were all quite happy with this.
And did that feel scary at that point?
It felt terrifying. I knew for me that I would struggle to find a salon I wanted to go into. I don't know why. I'd been in salons before. I didn't like the bitching. I didn't like the vibes. I didn't want to be somewhere that I couldn't control the narrative of how everyone was going to behave, because I'm quite a sensitive person. So I was like, well, I'm going to do it like for me, then I'm going to get a salon. And obviously my boyfriend Gary, being a builder, he was like, yeah, get a salon, like I'll do it for you. And I'm thinking he's going to like paint it and build some wee things, but we found this salon and it needed everything done to it. And he was like, we're going to build a mezzanine, we're going to do this. Like, and I thought, oh my God, like, I'm just happy in my mum's spare room. Like, I don't need all this. And all through the process, I kept on saying, no, that's a bit much. We don't need to do all that. But he was just going for it, and it turned into be like my favourite wee place.
And I think it's like, I remember that opening, right? And I remember that, and it was an incredible first salon, right?
Yeah.
You know, look at that compared to where you are now, right? But what I would say about it is it felt very, and this is what I really want to get across with the spirituality in business. I think really the purpose of where our worlds meet is that I really firmly believe that a lot of businesses are successful because of the consciousness of the person who is creating it, right? And you said something really interesting there, which was, I knew that I didn't want to go into any old space with people who were bitchy, it wasn't the right vibe. And I think what that tells me is you went in with an intention of what it was going to feel like, what it was going to be about. It's much more than eyebrows for you, right?
Oh, totally is.
It's in a whole experience, and I'll probably come to that later. But what I would also say is interesting is that the thing that I always equate you to is microblading, right? You're unbelievable at microblading.
Thank you.
And I would ask, because what I'm intrigued by is that you seemed very ahead of the curve with that. How did that come about that you get into that at a time that other people didn't?
Well, again, it goes back to one of the salons that I worked in. I'd never really thought about eyebrows at the time. Like when I was 16, people didn't really used to bother about their eyebrows. They almost used to just like forget about them. We'd put our makeup over them. We'd pluck them within an inch of our lives. Like it was almost like the more, like the less that you could have, the better. Like we just want to kind of glaze over them. And then I went into this salon. There was a girl called Nicola who worked there, and she must have been about 24 at the time. And I just thought she was the coolest thing since sliced bread. She was dead trendy. And she was one of the girls that I was just like, oh, I just want to be like Nicola when I grow up. And she used to draw her eyebrows in like really bushy. And I used to look at my eyebrows and be like, what the hell? Like, I don't have any. And she's got these amazing brows. And who knew? Like, people were drawing their eyebrows in. So, like, I started copying her, and I'd want mine in, and I'd be drawing them in. And my friends used to always be like, what the hell are you doing that for? That looks dead weird. And then before you knew it, they were all drawing their eyebrows in. And eyebrows started to become, like, a thing again. And at the time, I knew I didn't want to do hairdressing. It just never really spoke to me. I didn't love it. I don't like standing on my feet all day. And so I was just kind of like, I want to go and do something for myself, but I know it's not going to be here. I didn't love working in the salon. And so someone in my family had left me money. And I remember being like, I really want my eyebrows tattooed, and I don't know where to go for it. And I was just Googling it, and the course popped up. And I said to my dad, I want to spend my money on that. And he was like, no, you can't do that. Like, that's too, like, I've never even heard of anyone getting that done. That sounds ridiculous. Like, and I was like, no, that's what I want to do. I really want to do it. And at the time, it was like £10,000 to train. It was like a lot of money. Like now it's a lot cheaper because it's so much more common. But he was like, no. And I said, well, Dad, see if you don't give me my money to do it, I'm going to take it out as a loan and end up paying more on it. So he was like, right, okay, but don't come crying to me. And so I did it. And within like less than a year, I lived off it, and I'd paid all that money back into my account, and I just went for it.
That, and see that moment, right? So this, I'm so fascinated with this as your friend as well, right? Because I don't know a lot of this detail, right?
Yeah.
So I'm really fascinated because I think having that certainty that you knew it was going to work out.
Yeah.
You knew in your gut somewhere, like, this is something I'm going to do, and I'm going to make it work. Where does that come from with you? Because I feel it's something you have in spades.
Yeah. I think that comes from my mum. Like, she's one of these people, as you know, like, she just sees the world as being, like, limitless. She's very airy-fairy. She's very, like, you can do whatever you put your mind to. Like, if I told my mum I wanted to retrain as an astronaut, she'd be like, okay, well, you're going to need to start. Yeah, yeah. Do you know what I mean? For Christmas, all my bags would be, like, astronauts and, like, do you know what I mean? Like, she is very encouraging as a person, and that definitely comes from her. My dad's a bit more reserved. Like, he's a bit more, like, cautious. He's always like, oh, you need to think about this, and what if that goes wrong? And he still does it to me to this day. Like, even though the old salon was bursting at the seams and I said, I need a bigger shop, he was like, oh, no. Like, that's you, you're happy. I was like, Dad, I need it, and things are going to actually start getting worse if I don't get it. But my mum's like, go for it, it'll be amazing. Like, she's just that kind of person, as you know.
Yeah, she really is. She's a very special person, I have to say. We need to say hello to Trisha Cairns.
Yeah, hi, Mum.
But I think what I would say is, now when you look at it, right, and I shared this with you earlier, is that I walked in to get my brows done a couple of weeks ago, right, and it was a Wednesday at 5 o'clock. And I'm expecting, like, when you get to most salons, it's going to be relatively quiet. The place was buzzing. Right, there was like 8 people running about. There was like such a lovely feeling. There was candles lit. There was somebody getting their makeups done. There was people in front of me in the queue, and I just had such joy for you and seeing that's you. Like, yes, it's a collaboration with other people, but that's what you've created. And I guess now when you think back to being in that spare bedroom, the fear of doing the course but doing it anyway, having the first place that Gary helped you build, to now, how does it feel for you now to see where it's at?
I think I just kind of forget because I'm just too busy going through the motions, but sometimes wee moments hit me and I'm like, oh my God, like, I can't believe all these amazing women want to actually work with me. Like, it's crazy. Like, one, for example, when we were on our works night out on Sunday, I was like, right, everyone, we need to get a group pic. And I was trying to, like, set the table up so everyone could be seen, and that really hit me. Like, oh my God, there's so many of us now. Like, it's crazy. There's 18 of us. It's just mad. And like, yeah, wee moments like that. And I think also just the girls that I have, and Guy or Kevin, like, they are just amazing people as well, and that is really what I feel like most proud of. Like, we are generally a big group of friends and family. It's crazy, but it just works. And like, it's moments like that when I can finish work and Kevin or Kim or someone, well, Kim is my family, but Kim, they'll be like, do you want to go grab a glass of wine? And we just want to spend more time together, even though we've just had the craziest chaotic day. But it's moments like that make me happy.
And I think that's so crucial, and what you've created is so special, because that will contribute to the success as well, right?
Yeah.
It is not all of it, but it's certainly a part of it, because when that person walks in, like when I walk in, I can feel it. You feel that energy. You feel it's a warm space. You're welcomed into that space. So I think it's just incredible.
Thank you.
I want to ask you quite a specific and deep question, right?
Okay.
Why do you do what you do? Like, what? Because I can see it lights you up, right?
Yeah, it does.
Why is it that it lights you up so much, do you think?
I think just making, I know it's like the pure corniest thing that everyone says, like making other people feel good, like, but it genuinely is amazing. Like, see when someone comes in, especially women who've been through cancer or something, like any sort of hair loss in their eyebrows, it doesn't even have to be like a medical reason. They can just pick them out, like because they're anxious or something. It's something that they worry about. It's on their face. You can't really hide it. Like, you can put your hair in a ponytail or whatever, but your brows, people are looking at them when they're talking to you. And so it's something they really, really worry about. And when I show them redone, especially because they're so nervous, they're getting their eyebrows tattooed basically, you know, like they're super, super nervous. And then when I show them, just like that feeling of them being like, number one, okay, it's gone great, I love them. But number two, like, I actually have really beautiful ones now. Like, and I've spent so long worrying about how like ugly they were. That's really what they think. But, and to just be like, and now like all my friends are going to be jealous of my eyebrows, you know, like, so I love that. I love that feeling. Sometimes they cry and it makes me cry. Sometimes I just cry because they're so excited. Like, it's very emotional. Sometimes it gets really deep. But that's genuinely my favourite thing, my favourite part of it.
And I think that really shines through. And I've always known that about you, because you have such passion for people. And I think I've always felt like that in terms of it is much more about a deeper level. So by the way, first of all, I would say you really helped me with my eyebrows. So thank you, right?
God,
Mine were not in a good place when we met, right? So you really changed my life.
Yeah.
But I think also they changed the shape of your face, first of all. They're
Big
crucial.
Yeah.
But I also think there's that personal element that you really build a connection and a relationship with the person who's in front of you.
Yeah.
And I know that comes from a really genuine place. And that
course.
care is probably what keeps people coming back to you as well, right? Alongside the amazing brows.
Yeah, no, I always say, like, people will go to someone who's good at something. People will recommend, talk about, share with their friends, the bloody postman, like somebody who has made an impact on them. That really is a huge thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that probably leads quite nicely into, I talk about values all the time. So if you were to think about your brand values, right, what does Eyebrowlady stand for? What is it? What's it all about?
That is a hard one, because obviously it stands for eyebrows, but like the new salon is just so much more than that. We have everything from like hair, nails, like we have everything really. I can't really think of any treatments we don't do, to be honest. But it stands for eyebrows. It stands for fun, because it's a fun salon. It's a really fun space. Like you come in, you feel like you're part of a big girls group chat. Like it is a fun environment. But like trust is a major one, because again, people don't really know what they're doing with their brows. Like, you know how to brush your hair and curl it, I would hope. But people don't know what to do with their brows. And so many times they go places that just botch them. But I feel like we always go the extra mile as a salon to talk you through it, talk about what we're doing. Like, people are like, what's a lamination? Because they're like, what the hell? Like, I've only heard of laminating paper. Like, when I'm doing my eyebrows, like, what's going on? So, like, we talk through everything and we find out, where do you want to be with your brows? I know, as ridiculous as that sounds to some people. Where do you want to be with them, and what is the goal for today? I think trust is a massive part of it.
And then what I like about that is it allows you to create probably quite an individualised path for somebody, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember coming to you at first and you knew intrinsically that at that point I wasn't ready for microblading.
Yeah.
So you were like, I think you should do this. We should maybe try this. And then, we did some trial and error until we found the brows that I loved. So I think you're very individual to what that person needs.
Yeah,
and I agree
it's so
with the fun.
important.
I agree with, it's a very, very fun salon.
Yeah, it really is.
And I think, even on a deeper level, if we take away the eyebrows for a second, right? You as a person are so driven and you're so ambitious, and you've always had that desire to succeed. Where does that come from?
I'm actually not 100% sure, to be honest. Like, I feel like my family is very like that. Like, my whole family do amazing things, and we do think very limitlessly as a family. It's not, if someone came into the family tomorrow and said they wanted to be an astronaut, we would all be like, I don't know why we're going down this astronaut.
I know.
I just feel like it's the most like out of this world thing I can think of.
Yep.
We would all be like, right, on you go, son. Like, let's get you started. Like, we are just like that as a family. It's not strange to us at all that people dream big. We don't ever try and put it down. We always encourage it.
But do you not see how magical that is, number one?
Yeah.
But two, how unusual that is?
Yeah.
Like, I think particularly, to be honest, like growing up in the west of Scotland, I think there's a mindset, certainly that I've witnessed, of stay small, think small. You can't do that. People that think big are a pain in the arse. Like, there's been a lot of that. So it's quite unusual to have a whole family that drive and support and
there's a few
push.
negative Nellies.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I'll not say their names.
Yeah.
But
on the whole, it's like encourage. So you think that's probably a combination of the support system and the family that you grew up in,
100%.
but also probably quite a lot of who you are.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of it's...
Yeah, like I do feel like I don't really have an off button sometimes. Like, I think about my business morning, noon and night. Like, it drives my boyfriend wild sometimes, because he's like, just switch off. Like, just, why are you still thinking about that? Or put your phone away. Like, but I genuinely just can't stop thinking about it. And it might be a wee bit unhealthy. Like, I'm definitely working on it and it's getting a wee bit better. But even when I'm on holiday, like, my mind's ticking about it. I'm always thinking of ideas. And I don't know, I'm just quite a hyper person that just, I like to have something that I can just do while I'm doing nothing as well, you know. So I think it's just part of me.
Yeah, I think that work ethic and that passion are just continuous for you.
Yeah.
It's like a flow that continues. And I think what I would say on the back of that, I guess, right, is what do you do for fun? Like, what do you do to unwind? What's Abby's time when you're not working?
Cooking, you know this. I love to cook. It's like my favourite thing. Like, if my mum always says, if you didn't do eyebrows or if eyebrows ever fail, you should be a chef. I always say no, because it's the thing that I love to do the most. Like, I hate to make it work, but I genuinely just love cooking. It unwinds me. It's like my favourite thing. I don't love going out and nights out and whatever. I like to have my friends over, as you know, and cook for them.
And you're a very good cook.
Yeah, I love it.
And do you know what I love about coming to your house when you do that? It's a whole experience because you're like chopping the veg, but we're having a glass of wine while you're doing it. Yep. And I don't know how many times I've came. Yes, like I've came to yours with like something I'm worried about in my life, and it's almost like a spiritual experience, right? While you're giving me advice, you're listening. I remember like one specific instance, like crying with a big drama, and you were like chopping up and you made me a gorgeous dinner and we're sipping Prosecco. It's a whole experience for you. Yeah. So do you think there's anything you would do with that, right? I know you probably wouldn't want to do it as a full-time job, but is there anything you'd want to do with that cooking that could bring it to life a bit more?
There is something that's actually coming with the cooking next year, and you'll be very excited. It does involve Abby Cairns. So she's the one who taught she's the one who taught me everything when it comes to cooking. Like, you know, she's an amazing cook as well. She's so good. But we're both very, very different, and we both like really argue about how something should be done.
Really?
There's a lot of bickering that goes on. But like, she loves like traditional food, all this kind of stuff. I like to spice it up and try different things. And then she'll try these different things, but she'll put like a really weird traditional spin on it, or she'll do like a Mexican steak pie or something. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, you're doing too much, Mum. Like, you do a steak pie or you do a Mexican dish. Like, what are we doing here? So
wee bit of fusion.
Yeah. So we're actually going to do a bit of a cooking show next year, filmed by herself. Yeah. Just for a bit of fun. She's retired now and she's got a lot of time. Well, she actually doesn't have a lot of time in her hands because she's got so many grandkids, but she, something a bit fun for her, something we can do together. And when we cook together, we laugh so much, and everyone that's there is always like, you should do this as a show like that. I would watch that. And
I want to watch that. Yeah, I'm so excited.
So we're going to do it.
And will you share as you're doing it? So will you like share the recipes? Can I learn these?
Yeah. So you need to learn, and she'll be doing a dish, and then the next week I'll be doing a dish, and then we'll compare. Or there might be some wee challenges.
Oh wow!
We need to have people to say whose dish was best sometimes. There's going to
Sign me up. Sign me up. That sounds amazing. That's incredible. It's
going to be fun.
I'm really amazed that you have the time, right? And amongst all the things that you're juggling, but I'm so excited. That sounds amazing. And I think what I would say is, on the back of that, right, that one you're collaborating with your mum, which is going to be so amazing. Collaboration's a big thing in general, right? So I know, and I think that's probably one thing I would say about you as well, that you are so clear that yes, Eyebrowlady is you, but it's a collaborative effort. There's so many people that you work with, and not even necessarily just the people in the salon, right? So how important is that for you in terms of who you collaborate with? And are there people who come to mind over the years that have really been a big influence and a positive influence in building the business with you?
Yeah, well, number one would be Kim, my sister-in-law. She is just amazing. Before Kim, like, she started with me before we even got the first salon, because she was on maternity leave. She had no, she wasn't on maternity leave, but she was part-time because Riley was just a wee tot. And I was like, I actually need like help because my mum's going mad. Like, there's 3 cars outside because I keep on double booking my diary. I'm so bad at it. Like, I need organisation. So she started helping me with that. And then from there, I was like, when I was getting the shop, I was like, you just need to quit your job and just come and work with me like full time. It's going to be amazing. Like, you can start doing eyebrows too. It'll be so good. And thankfully she did it. She totally believed in it all and she just went for it. And she's probably been the most amazing thing that's happened to my business. Like, number one, getting to work beside my best friend and my sister-in-law every single day is so fab. But she just has a really amazing way of keeping me on track, which is great because, you know, I get distracted. So she can really wrangle me, which is nice. And she never really messes up the diary, which is also very good.
I think the thing with Kim, right, and I'm very lucky as well that I know Kim and I'm friends with Kim as well, right, is that I think you're a little bit yin and yang.
Oh, totally.
And you complement each other, right?
Yeah.
So you are both two, I think, two parts that just go together, right?
Yeah, we really are.
So, and I think what's so lovely to hear though, right, because there's a theme that I'm only probably picking up on now, is that in your life, you're surrounded by people who support you, believe in your vision, quit their jobs to jump in feet first into what you're doing. That's a really unique way to be, and it may be that you're persuasive, but I think also it's testament to who you are as a person.
Oh,
that you take people on that journey. But I just think it's really inspiring. So, okay, talked a lot about the growth, the success, all of that good stuff. I want to talk failure, because I think quite often businesses, well, naturally all businesses will go through periods of failure or setbacks. And I think it's helpful to talk about those periods, right? Particularly even for me as somebody who's very early in a new business. So what would you say your mindset is towards setbacks, failures? How do you address them?
Just keep going. It's like so simple. You just have to believe in your vision. Like there's going to be setbacks. I didn't just like start eyebrows and was fully booked. Do you know what I mean? Like there was years where I didn't I started it when I was 20. Like there was years my head was full of mints and I wanted to go to Ibiza for the summer, like stuff like that, you know, like, and I come back and then I'm like, what the hell? Why have I not got any clients? Like, because I've been in Ibiza for the summer. So things like this, like, but you have to believe that you can do it again. Like I was ready for giving up after I didn't pay it much mind when I was dilly-dallying all over the place one summer, like when I was 21. And then I was like, oh no, it's like too much effort to try and rebuild it all again. And again, like my mum, she was like, well, if you've done it once before, then it's going to be even easier this time, isn't it? And I was like, well, that's true. Like, so, but she's obviously just a very encouraging person. So you just have to keep believing, like nothing's just going to be given to you. See, if it was, everyone would do it, you know? You have to just keep believing in your dream and work your arse off. Like when you first start, I really sound like I was going to go down a Kim Kardashian line there.
Yes, get your ass up and work.
Everyone has the same 24 hours in the day. No, that is very not true. I do not agree with that, Kim. But when you first start, I think it's so important. Like if you have a client that wants to get done at 7 o'clock on a Tuesday and they aren't the times that you work, but you have nothing on then and you can be there at 7 o'clock on a Tuesday, take it. Like, that's what I would do. Sometimes I would do somebody at 9 o'clock at night because it's the only time they could come. But that person, if they'll appreciate that, number one. Number two, they'll go and tell their group chat they've just had their eyebrows microbladed and they absolutely love it. There's maybe 3 or 4 other girls that are interested in having it done, you know, like don't look at anything as scraps. Like, it's just one client. Why would I do that? Like, I could be out having fun or doing this or going at my boyfriend's house. No, it's not scraps. Every client is so valuable, you know?
I think it's that long range vision and that big picture vision, right? It is so important. And I love this idea, right? That when you talked about that you just need to keep going, right? That you just have to persevere. And I had this conversation recently about a spiritual concept that I love, which is about there's 2 different periods in your life, right? With anything that you go through. And there's a period of things being revealed and a period where things are concealed. Right. And just because you can't see progress doesn't mean it's not happening. Right. So we think about that, right? The example I like to give is imagine you put a seed in the ground for an oak tree. Right. Now that little seed, it's crazy when you think about it, right?
So
it already contains the branches, the leaves, the fruit, all of that's inside this tiny wee seed. Now we put the seed in the ground and we cover it up. Does anything happen the first day? Can you see anything? No. And a month, still nothing. Right? It's concealed. The growth is happening underneath the surface until one day it pops out and you start to be able to see it and the tree manifests. So it's in a period of revealment. But the period of concealment is arguably more important.
Oh, of course.
So when you're in a business or you're doing something and it feels like you're not progressing or you're not seeing the clients or that I always say to people, it's about that thing you said where you have to push through. Because it's just a period of concealment.
Oh, exactly. It's like, it's where all the major work has to be done. It's where all the groundwork is, you know, like it's the most important time of your whole business.
Yeah, I love that. And then with that in mind, when you look back over the 12 years, what would you say is like the biggest mistake you've made and what did you learn from it?
That's really hard. It's a hard one to think about. I'm probably opening a salon 3 months before lockdown hit. You know, that was like a big one. It wasn't a mistake, but we could never have foreseen that. But there was things that I did during COVID that I wish I hadn't, you know, like I wish I'd said a wee bit more on my socials. I wish I'd been a wee bit more like aware that everything was going to be fine, you know, like it was like I was going into kind of trauma zone where I was thinking everything I've just worked for is going to like just crumble. It's going to be ruined. I've just opened this salon. I've spent so much money on it. Like what the hell? I went into total trauma mode and just kind of stopped for a good 6 weeks, I would say. I stopped doing anything. I stopped even looking at messages. I was just like totally deflated. And then I realised, shit, like I need to actually keep this alive here. Like I do have this shop that I need to worry about. Like I do have all this kind of stuff. So I need to keep going. And you know, like my mindset just kind of switched and I said, well, I'm never going to have this time that I'm not busy doing clients. So it's all about social media at this time. Like really, so I just kind of tried to change the narrative a wee bit more. And like it turned out after COVID to be like busiest time of my whole career. Even now, like it was amazing. I remember me and Kim were sitting in my flat and we've been doing this waiting list thing through COVID. I was like, we just have to keep posting about the waiting list. People are going to see waiting list and they're going to be like, yes, I want my brows done. Like I'm going to join the waiting list. So we'd take their number and we put it all down and then we text them all when we knew when we could reopen. We sent a text out to everyone to say, you can call at, say it was like 1 p.m. on Wednesday to start making your appointments. And we were sitting in my flat and 1 p.m. on Wednesday hit and the phones just kept on going. And the 2 laptops we were trying to do it on were synced to the phones. And the phone call kept on flashing up. But it was just crazy because the booking system was just jamming. It was mental. There was like just under 300 people on the waiting list by the end of COVID. And that's just such an amazing thing I always think about. Like just no matter your situation just now, like you can always change it. You can always use it to do something else, you know?
Yeah, and I think what I love about that, right, and again, I didn't know that story and I love it,
It
right?
was so crazy. Me and Kim were just so excited running about the flat. We kept passing each other because we were like, oh, like, you stop talking in my ear. And we kept passing each other in the hallway being like, this is crazy. But it was just so amazing. We were so excited. But
what I love about that as well, right, is that I think it would be easy for a lot of people in COVID to hit that brick wall and say, do you know, I'm just going to sit back just now. Yeah. There's nothing I can do. I can't do anything else. I might as well just do nothing. But actually, you had your few weeks of not replying and feeling in a bit of a rut about it, but you turned it round pretty quickly. You thought differently. You were able to pivot, really, and say, what can I do during this period of time, right? Yeah. Which I love. I find it very, very inspiring. And I think probably what I would say is, right, I'm in awe a little bit of hearing all these stories and you have a lot of experience over the years. I guess for somebody like me who's 8 months into a business or anybody who's starting a new business, if you could give people one piece of advice, what would it be?
Just keep going. I was working on that only one piece of advice. I don't know, just have fun with it. Enjoy it. Enjoy every step of it. Like, the whole reason that you want to be self-employed is because you believe that you can do something that people want, and never forget that. It's such an important part of the process that a lot of people lose sight of, and the stress takes over and the worry and all this, and they end up closing their business. And then you'll speak to them 10 years later and they'll go, I loved doing hair. Like, I loved doing hair. It was the happiest time of my life when I was doing hair. I wish I never got a salon, or I wish I never got this. Like, not every circumstance is right for you. I speak to a lot of people. I have 2 of them in the salon that work with me just now who previously had salons and just found it too stressful, you know, like, I don't know why, but I quite enjoy stress. Like, as you know, I take on a lot of stress. But like, never be stuck. You can always change and navigate your business. You don't have to give it up. You don't have to shut your shop and go work in an office or something. You can always change things about. So just nothing is absolute or indefinite. Like, you can always maneuver things, you know. It's so important to know that you're not stuck You can still do something you once felt so passionate about, but sometimes you just have to change your environment or change the way that you do it.
Yeah, I think it's such great advice, right? And really helpful for me at my stage, right? And I think what I love about what you're saying, the key thing there for me as well is making it fun.
Yeah,
right. And
fun.
I got the same impression, the same advice from my teacher when I started this out, right? Which was to say, the reason you want to do spiritual coaching is because you love learning spirituality.
Yeah.
Right? Like you love what you're learning in the classes you do and that excites you, and that needs to remain the same. And it was really good advice because she was like, what you can't get caught up in is social media and how it looks and you know what other people think of it, and then you can't get your ego in. So now it's like Paul Sparks is so wise and it's his teachings. All I'm doing is sharing things that I've learned that are thousands of years old, right?
You've got something that people might be interested in, like,
but it's not my wisdom, right? It's like they come to me because it's my passion that I'm learning it and I just share it. But the minute it becomes something else for me, that it's Paul Sparks and I'm so wise, I've lost it, right? Because I'm away from the fun of actually, I just love to learn and share it.
Yeah, that's it.
So yeah, I really, really like that. And I think what I would also say, right, I find this, and I'm only maybe noticing this parallel now, is you talked a little bit before about that limited or unlimited mindset that your family have, right? Like you don't think in a limited way, you grew up like that. One of the things I've always loved about you and Gary, right, is that you are very similar, right, in a lot of the things that you do. So I love when like I can message you and say, you know, we live quite close to each other and I'm like, do you want to go out and walk the dogs? And you're like, oh no, sorry, I'm in Amsterdam, right? And you've decided to go that morning, right? And you go and you don't, you know, like some people would go, maybe I think about that, we'll do it in a month. Like you would just go, right?
We're very like that.
And I think that's an interesting parallel that in your romantic life, it's similar to your family. Tell me more about that, about, I guess, how you think in an unlimited way within your relationship as well.
I got a lot of it from Gary, to be honest, because we've been together for just about 10 years now. And when I first met him, I was genuinely like, I keep on feeling like I'm saying the word genuinely so much. But yeah, but when I first met him, I was just in awe because he was always like that. And I just thought like the stories he would tell were so amazing. And for a couple of years before I met him, I was thinking about moving to Marbella. And so I was like, I really want to move to Marbella, and I just like, I'd love to like do my treatments out there, and I just like, I can't get it out of my head and I want to do it. And he was like, let's do it then. And I was like, what do you mean let's do it? Like, it's so like unrealistic. Like I was 23 when I met Gary, and he was like, oh, let's just do it. Like we could just drive there next month and I'll have a look at apartments and like, I'm sure we'll make it work. And you can always come back and do your clients here, and it's only 2.5 hours on a plane, and nothing's a big deal to him. And I was like, what do you mean we can drive to Spain? Like, it took me so ridiculous. And he was like, I've done it a million times, because obviously he's a lot older than me. So I was like, right, okay, let's do it. And within like a month, we were driving to Spain, like went to see houses, set up my wee business. I was doing it mobile there. I was really busy, like, and it was just great. And I wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for Gary. But I have also learned from him, like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. Like, so sometimes it's me now that's like, let's move back to Marbella. Like, it was me the last time when we went, like, because we had 3 years in between, and things like, oh, let's just drive with the dogs. Let's take the dogs to Amsterdam. Like, we can get on the ferry with them, blah, blah, blah. Like, how fun would it be to have your dogs on holiday with you? Things like that. Like, and everyone does say, like, it's just mad. Like, Poncho's travelled more places than some humans.
Yes. Yeah. I remember like going on your Instagram one day and Poncho was like on the Champs-Elysees and stuff like that. Like, I'm like, had a great time.
Under the Eiffel Tower. Yeah, that was a good video. Yeah. Yeah, he's very well travelled. So is Poppet. She doesn't really make the Instagrams much because she's a nightmare.
Wee bit grumpy. Aye, wee bit grumpier. But no, I love that. And I think it's a very inspiring thing for me to look at that in all aspects of your life. And it's quite infectious, right? That you don't think in a limited way.
Yep.
So this has been really interesting for me. So thank you. I guess the last question for me is, what's next? What do you see as next for Eyebrowlady?
Do you know, it's so funny because obviously the new salon is like really huge. But I kept on saying, like, to Gary when he was building it, well, like, I mean, we're never going to outgrow this one, you know, like, so don't worry, like, this will be my last. And he's like, this will be your last. Like, I'm not doing this again. All these months of unpaid work and all that, like, I'm not doing it again. Like, don't worry, we're not going to outgrow this one. But I genuinely feel like we actually need to rebuild the upstairs because we've outgrown it already, and we've only been there since January. We need more space. We need more staff members for certain treatments. Just can't really keep up. So we either need to rebuild the upstairs kind of thing or get another place again on top of the one we've got. Like, so that's something I'm kind of thinking of just now, to be honest. There's a unit next door and I'm kind of like, do we take it? Like, I don't really know. But there's that. And to be honest, I'm at a really strange place with my business just now where I just feel like I don't really know where to go, you know, like I've done everything that I can do with microblading and whatever so far. So I'm just kind of like, what is next? Like, I'm at a bit of a crossroads, I think. And I feel like I need something exciting.
But what I do know about you though, is that you don't need to know the answers just now.
Yeah.
Because you just keep pushing forward, it will always grow and get better and expand. I always know that about you. And I'm also very excited for your cooking show. I'm very excited for that coming next year. Yeah. But listen, thank you. I appreciate you making the time in your busy schedule, for being here, for sharing some of that insight into your mindset. It's a real privilege. I learned so much from you. So yeah, thank you for being here.
Thank you. No, thanks for having me.
Thank you.